Candles have been important for human life and human culture since antiquity. I am Joseph. This is Input English. Let's talk about candles today. There are many ways to talk about candles. I could list off their characteristics, but that would be boring. I should tell you stories about candles and let you look at candles from different points of view, getting a more robust picture of this subject. And of course, we're doing this for the purpose of acquiring English with comprehensible input. A candle is solid fuel, typically with a wick that allows that fuel to melt and then burn, producing a flame like this. People crafted candles to make light because what do humans need? Well, we need shelter, we need water, we need food, we need warmth, and we need light. So candles have been used for many centuries to produce the light that we need after the sun has gone down or in dark areas. Candles have played a part in human culture in many ways. They tend to symbolize light, life, purification, and hope. We see candles used for their utilitarian purpose of producing light, but we also see them as a part of ceremonies, weddings, funerals, birthdays, various occasions. Candles are used as a part of that celebration or that remembrance. There are a lot of rituals around candles, lighting candles. In various cultures, lighting a candle has significance in rituals. Candles appear in art, specifically in poetry. So I'd like to start with a poem by Edna St. Vincent Millay, an American poet, and this is entitled First Fig. First Fig is the first poem in her book entitled A Few Figs from Thistles. That book was 34 pages long and it contained 19 poems. It was a very small book. First Fig is one stanza long. It has 4 lines, and so you could call it a quatrain. So this is First Fig by Edna St. Vincent Millay. My candle burns at both ends. It will not last the night. But ah, my foes, and oh, my friends, it gives a lovely light. So now we're in the 21st century and we have terminology like going viral. Well, for something to go viral, it has to be found on the internet. It has to become very popular, very well known, and it has to spread very rapidly. So videos can go viral. In 1920, when that poem was published, there was no internet, so there was no term going viral, but that poem became very famous. And so it inserted a phrase into the English language, burning the candle at both ends. So if you say, he or she burns the candle at both ends, you suggest that they're living fast, that they're remarkable, but they are not going to last. That simple poem is one of my favorites, and the whole book is worth reading. One of the nice things about Edna St. Vincent Millay is that her poems are easy to understand. She didn't write a bunch of puzzles that are impossible to understand. So for the language learner, her work represents an opportunity to enjoy poetry in English and not struggle with it. Almost all of her work is public domain. That is, there are no copyright rules attached, so you will have no problem finding her work online. So let's get back to candles, like this one. Candles go back, like I said, to antiquity. Historically, they were made of two different things, depending upon where you were. One, tallow. Okay, what's tallow? Tallow is animal fat. So if you have killed an animal and that animal has hard white fat and you carve the fat out, it is solid at room temperature and it can be burned as a candle. The trouble with animal fat in its original form is it has a fair amount of water in it, and so a candle made of animal fat without any additional processing would sputter. That is, there would be little things that happen at the wick where steam is released, little miniature explosions, and it might put itself out. So people learned a long time ago to render that fat into what we call tallow. And that is a more pure form of animal fat. The water's been removed. A lot of the protein material from the original animal tissue has been removed, and it's a more pure fat, and it burns better. It still may smell badly, but it burns better. So animal fat rendered to tallow was a source of making candles. Another source that was common and still is beeswax. Beeswax is melted down, the water driven out of it, and then it can be cast into candles. And in fact, this is a beeswax candle. There's a third common type of candle, particularly in the 21st century, and that is a paraffin candle. Paraffin is a wax. It is a byproduct of the petroleum industry, and most of the candles you would buy in a store now would be paraffin candles. I'm not sure you would be able to find tallow candles. Perhaps. You could certainly make them. I don't really recommend it. Beeswax candles are very common. When you buy candles, they come in various sizes, big ones, slender ones. This that I bought when it was purchased was called a taper, for obvious reason, because it tapered to a point. So if you go to a store in the United States and you ask a salesperson for candles, you could tell them, I'm looking for tapers. And they'll be like this. They taper to a point. This one, the point has burned off because we've used this candle. Candles may have scents added to them. Various essential oils can be put into the candle, and that way when it burns, you get a smell. In New England, there's a type of candle that's very popular called a bayberry candle. Bayberry is a natural scent that can be added to candles, and it's part of the New England tradition for winter and the Christmas time to burn bayberry candles. People frequently attach memories to smells, and they smell something and they may tell you, that takes me back, referring to that gives me a memory of something in the past. So if someone says, that takes me back, and they're referring to a smell or an image, maybe a piece of music, they're saying that it created a recollection, a memory. It triggered a memory. Colors can be added to candles. You can make them very decorative, bright red, dark green, natural color. This is beeswax, and it's substantially the color of beeswax. Birthday candles need to be mentioned. They are part of American culture. They are used the world over. And the tradition here is that when someone has a birthday and they get a birthday cake, then these very small, very slender candles are put on the cake, typically one candle per year. And then the tradition goes that the people helping to celebrate this birthday sing happy birthday. When that song is completed, the person whose birthday it is makes a wish but they're supposed to keep it quiet. They're supposed to keep it secret, and then they blow out the candle. The idea is if you keep your wish secret and you blow out all the candles with one puff of air, then you should get your wish. Now, my observations around that phenomenon is that getting one's wish based on those criteria is not reliable. When people get older, the number of candles on their birthday cake increases, and there's a point at which a reasonable person may not want one candle per year because it's too many. At that point, it is common to revert to a single candle. Candles may be freestanding, that is, they may be broad and stable, so you just set them on the table, or they may need to be put into a stand like this one, and this brass device under the candle is called a candle holder. Typically, if you say candle holder, you mean a holder for a single candle. If you are referring to a device that holds multiple candles, you could call that a candelabra. Now, the word candelabra is not English, it's Latin, and it goes back to Roman times. There's a curiosity about candelabra because in English, we use that word as a singular. You might say, I put the candelabra on the table, and you're referring to one. But in Latin, candelabra is the plural form. And in Latin, you would refer to one as a candelabrum. But nobody does that in English. You don't say candelabrum in English. No, it's candelabra. We've just changed it from its original Latin. Candles made the transition from very utilitarian to mostly decorative and ceremonial. As you can see, there are many points of view when it comes to candles. You can talk about their history. You can talk about how they're made. You can talk about how they're used. And by looking at them from different points of view, you get a more robust picture of this subject. We're not memorizing word lists. Hope you enjoyed this. I invite comments below. And if you like videos like this, be sure to click on this one next. See you soon.